Craving the coffee flavor you love, but without the caffeine? Kachava's got you covered with their newest coffee flavor. This all-in-one nutrition shake delivers bold, authentic flavor, crafted from premium decaffeinated Brazilian beans. With 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, and so much more. Treat yourself to the flavor and nutrition your body craves. Go to kachava.com and use code FITNESS. New customers get 15% off their first order. That's KACHAVA.com, code FITNESS.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, warm and friendly hello. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you. We're going to be joined in segment number 2 by a good friend of ours as we're chatting it up with Colby Marchio. Does great work over at Better Day, his Substack, Better-Box, and so much more. He got really hot with the player props over the last week or so we're going to take a look at what he's all been looking at in terms of finding some success on the player prop front, when he wants to be riding guys, when he wants to be staying off of teams. We have to talk about the Mets and their big-time struggles, a team or two that he finds a little bit of upside with as well, and then in the final segment, going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at GUNet_D1. Keep in mind, letters CM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. While I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today, we had ourselves a fun day of baseball on Sunday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends, and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
The New York Mets have now lost 11 straight games. My goodness. They lose 2-1 in extras against the Chicago Cubs. It was supposed to be David Peterson as a starter. They used Tobias Myers as an opener, 2 scoreless innings. Peterson from there, 3 2/3 innings scoreless. Oscar Brisbane and out of the bullpen scoreless. Luke Weaver, Brooks Raley combined for 2 scoreless innings. Then Devin Williams blows it in the 9th inning, gives up the first run of the game as he gives up an RBI double to the former Met and Michael Conforto. Nico Horner, sacrifice fly in the 10th inning, ends it as Craig Kimbrell gives up that unearned run. And for the Cubs, Javier Assad, very solid in this one. He goes 5 2/3 innings, did allow a solo home run as going deep. MJ Melendez, his first of the campaign. From there, you would have Jacob Webb give you 4 outs of the bullpen scoreless, and then both Martins, Riley Martin and Corbin Martin, are able to give you a scoreless inning. They needed a scoreless 10th out of Caleb Theobar. They got it, so Cubs back up to 12-9, and every single NL Central team at least 3 games above 500, even with the Brewers losing on Sunday as they fall to the Miami Marlins just by a count of 5-3. Uri Perez, 1 unearned run given up over the course of 6 innings as for Jacob Mizorowski, used the Gengar Pokemon glove, and, well, he should have been faded here. 3 runs, 1 of which was earned, given up in his 5 innings of work. The alternate Paul gives up 2 runs in a third of an inning. From there, Grant Anderson, pair of outside the bullpen scoreless. You do get 2 scoreless innings out of the young gun in Carlos Rodriguez, and for the Miami Marlins, you did have Michael Peterson, great name, give up a run in 1 2/3 innings. Andrew Nardi does not get a single out. He does give up a run, but Calvin Fauché, Pete Fairbanks, they clean up the mess. Fauché and out of the bullpen scoreless, and Pete Fairbanks scoreless inning to be able to get that one in. For the Cincinnati Reds, they were on to a sweep of the Minnesota Twins, 7-4. They get the job done as for the Reds, they were down 2 runs going into the 9th inning. They come up with a 3 spot there as Bailey Ober was actually really good in this game. 6 1/3 innings. He gives up 1 unearned run, did walk 4, but punch out 10. From there, Taylor Rogers, pair of outside the bullpen scoreless. And then 1 1/3 innings from Andrew Morris. He gives up 3 runs, all of which were earned. Grant Acton, he gives up 3 unearned runs across the 9th and 10th innings. There were 3 errors out there in the field, and for Brady Singer, he was singing the blues, gives up 3 runs over the course of 6 innings, but Reds have the best bullpen area in all of baseball. Connor Phillips, Kyle Nicholas, both on to scoreless inning. Their weak link, Emilio Pagan, does give up a run in the 9th and 4th extras, but Graham Ashcraft, scoreless 10th inning, so the Reds now 14-8. When it comes to the New York Yankees, they're back online 7-0. They're able to take down the Royals as Cole Ragans gets absolutely destroyed. 7 runs allowed in 4 1/3 innings. He only gives up 4 hits, but he walked 8 and gave up 3 home runs. Aaron Judge Judge, 9th home run season. Trent Grisham is 3rd, and then Ben Rice is 8th. From there, you were able to have Eli Morgan and John Schreiber both led to scoreless inning. Mason Black, he was able to come in, and he was able to give you 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. And Ryan Weathers, boy, did he weathers the storm. He goes 7 and a third inning scoreless, 8 punch-outs. From there, Anel Shavili, 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. So nice quality winner there for the Yankees. And getting back to the NL Central, a nice winner for the St. Louis Cardinals. 7-5, they take down the Astros, who are now 8-15 to start the season. Matthew Liberatore gives up 1 run over the course of 6 innings. Ryan Stanek, a scoreless inning. You did have Jojo Romero give up 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Yordan Alvarez, league-leading 10th home run of the campaign off of him, but Riley O'Brien, 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Justin Brule, he gives up a unearned run in 2/3 of an inning. Gordon Gassefo, he was able to get the final out of the 10th inning, and Mike Burrows, rough start here, 4 runs allowed in 4 2/3 innings. From there, Stephen Oakert, and out of the bullpen scoreless. Kyra Dang has been solid, 2 scoreless innings out of him. Anya de los Santos, a scoreless inning, and then Brian King, he was the king of giving up 3 runs, one of which was earned in the 9th and 10th innings, as the St. Louis Cardinals now 13-8. They've been a nice surprise to begin the season, and so have the Pittsburgh Pirates. 6-3, they get the job done against the Rays. Pirates now 13-9, and Mitch Keller, he brought the Thunder. 2 runs allowed in 7 innings. Isaac Manson, a scoreless inning. You did have a solo run given up in an inning by the young gun in Wilbert Otell. I believe that this was his first career outing, and he gives that up to Junior Caminero, 5th home run in the campaign, but team was able to get to Shane McClanahan. 4 runs allowed in 4 1/3 innings. Mason Engler, he gives up a solo run in 2 1/3 innings, as it was Spencer Horwitz getting his 2nd home run in the campaign, and Nick Yorkie goes deep off of Ian Seymour, gives up that solo run in 1 1/3 innings. Still don't know why Ian Seymour is coming out of the bullpen and not starting, but it's a discussion for another day, and for the Pirates, they were very happy for it. For the Washington Nationals, they were happy to shut out the Giants 3-0 the final. Giants have been rough on offense all season long, and Robbie Ray, more like Robbie Boo, gives up 3 runs over the course of 6 innings, as Curtis Mead takes them deep for his 2nd home run in the campaign. From there, Keaton Wynn, JT Brubaker lend a scoreless inning for PJ Poulin. He was the opener, got a pair of outs out of the way before Miles Michaelis comes in. He goes actually 4 scoreless innings, much better for him. He lowers his ERA to 9.15, and then Andrew Alvarez in super long relief, 4 1/3 innings scoreless. So for the Giants, they go 0-11 with runners in scoring position, and their rough start to the season continues. It's been a rough one for the Orioles on offense. They fall to the Cleveland Guardians 8-4, the finalists. For Trevor Rogers, it appears as though their regression monster is coming from 6 runs, 5 of which were earned, given up in his 5 innings of work. Allows a pair of bombs as Jose Ramirez takes him deep twice. 5th and 6th home runs of the campaign. Tyler Wells pitches. Wells with 2 scoreless innings, but then you would have 2 runs given up in an inning of work from Cameron Foster. Meanwhile, for the Guardians, Joey Cantillo, not his sharpest, 4 runs, 3 of which were earned, given up in 4 2/3 innings, and Taylor Ward gets his first home run as a member of the Baltimore Orioles, his first of the campaign, but from there the bullpen does their part, as you had Peyton Palante give you 2 scoreless innings, Eric Zabrowski, Sean Armstrong, a scoreless inning apiece, and Matthew Festa, he had a fiesta getting it out of the bullpen scoreless to be able to get that one in. Also being able to get this one in, the Seattle Mariners 5-2, they're able to take down the Texas Rangers. For the Rangers, not necessarily what they were looking for here out of Mackenzie Gore. 5 runs allowed in 5 innings, including 3 home runs. J.P. Crawford, first of the campaign. Rob Refsnyder, his first, and then Randy Arozarena, his 2nd home run of the season. From there, he did have the bullpen be solid. Jalen Beeks and Gavin Collier combined for a scoreless inning. Tyler Alexander, Jacob Junis, both led a scoreless inning, but Brian Wu, he said woohoo to a nice start. 2 runs allowed in 7 innings. Gabe Spire and Andres Munoz, scoreless 8th and 9th innings to be able to get that one in. For Ryan Nelson, he had the worst performance of the day, which is saying something because the Mets exist. 10-4, the Blue Jays get the job done. Ryan Nelson got 1 out and he gave up 8 runs, all of which were earned. The only guy that he got out was a backup catcher in Valenzuela, who was only out there because, don't call his name, Alejandro Kirk is on the injured list. From there, the bullpen was not bad. Brandon Pfaadt had to pitch in super long relief. 6 1/3 innings allows a run. Andrew Hoffman, 2 1/3 innings. He did allow a solo home run along the way as Kazumo Akamoto, his 3rd home run of the campaign, but boy, that was rough to say the least. And then for Kevin Gausman, nice solid start here. 2 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. You did have Mason Fluharty, who's been rough, give up 2 runs over the course of an inning, and it was home run number 1 of the campaign for Orte Barosa, so good on him. From there, you were able to get a scoreless inning out of Tommy Nance and Braden Fisher, so Blue Jays 8-13, but a rough start to the season, but They get online with a win out there for the Detroit Tigers. They get online with a 6-2 win over the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox now 8-13, and the rough start for Garrett Crochet continues. 5 runs allowed in 5 innings. He was taken deep twice in this one. Dylan Dingler, his 5th home run of the campaign, and Jahmai Jones, he gets home run numero uno of the campaign. From there, the bullpen was relatively solid as you had 3 innings in long relief from one Mr. Jack Anderson. He allows 1 run along the way, and then you had Ryan Watson come in for a scoreless inning, and Framber Valdez on the flip side, he was pretty solid here for the Detroit Tigers. He gives up 1 run over the course of 6 innings. That 1 run, a solo home run to Wilson Contreras, 4th home run of the campaign. From there, Kyle Finnegan, Will Vesely, both on a scoreless inning. Connor Siebold, he does give up a run and an inning, but good quality winner out there for the Detroit Tigers. The Slam Diego Padres slam the LA Angels, this by a count of 2-1. A little bit of a surprise start for Wilber Urena. They decided to push back Reed Detmers at the last minute. Wasn't bad here. 2 runs allowed in 6 innings, 8 punch-outs. Sam Bachman, 2 scoreless innings out of the bullpen. Brent Suter, scoreless inning. Problem was they could not hit Michael King, who was the king of going for 5 scoreless innings. From there, Ron Marinaccio and Mason Miller, both on the scoreless inning. Kyle Hart does allow a run in a third of an inning, but Bradley Rodriguez, 5 outs of the bullpen, scoreless for the Angels. 0 of 8 with men in scoring position. So the San Diego Padres now 15-7. They find a way to get the job done. We've still only had 1 under out there in Sacramento this year out of their 10 games. For the Athletics, they fall to the White Sox, this by a count of 7-4 as Jeffrey Springs gets destroyed. 7 runs allowed in 5 innings, and he gives up not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 home runs, as it was home run number 3 of the season for Miguel Vargas. You had Derek Hill get his first home run of the campaign. Mason Montgomery, he gets home run number 5, Mambo number 5, and Muntaka Murakami, he gets home run number 8 of the season. Now for the White Sox, this was not necessarily savory from Grant Taylor coming out of the bullpen. He gave up 3 runs at 1 2/3 innings, but the young gun Noah Schultz, not bad here. He gives up 1 hit in 5 innings. That 1 hit did fly over the fence as it was home run number 1 of the campaign for Darrell Hernandez, but from there, rest of the bullpen was pretty solid. Jordan leisurely gets in out of the bullpen squirrels. Brian Hudson, Sir Anthony Dominguez, they're both able to lend a scoreless inning, so they were able to get the job done there. And the Colorado Rockies back-to-back wins over the LA Dodgers. They're now 6-3 at home. Rockies 9-6. They take down the Dodgers as Roki Sasaki, 3 runs allowed in 4 2/3 innings. He did give up a home run to Kyle Karros, first home run of the campaign. Shout out to Eric Karros. And then Mickey Moniak, he goes deep off of Blake Trinan, who did not get a single out, gave up 3 runs, all of which were in, including that home run, number 6 for Mickey Moniak in terms of that home run. Alex Vesian out of the bullpen squirrels. Will Klein, Jack Dreyer, both on the squirrel setting, but Edwin Diaz, he comes in a non-save situation and he gives up 3 runs, all of which were earned. From there, Kyle Hurt, was able to give you a squirrel setting, and Michael Lorenzen, not great, not terrible. 3 runs allowed in 5 innings. Antonio Senzatella has actually been really good out of the bullpen. 1 run allowed over the course of 2 innings. Jimmy Harrigan, 8 scoreless inning. Victor Vodnik allows a run in an inning, but yay verily to the Rockies being able to get a win. Then in Sunday Night Baseball, the Atlanta Braves do get the win over the Philadelphia Phillies, this by a count of 4-2 as for the Braves, Grant Holmes, not long for this game, but not a bad start. 2 runs allowed over the course of 4 2/3 innings as Kyle Schwarber took him deep. 7th home run of the campaign. Andrew Painter, not long for this game either. 3 runs allowed over the course of 4 innings as Michael Harris, the second home run number 4 of the campaign. Both bullpens from there were very rock solid. Aaron Bummer not out of the bullpen squirrels. Tyler Kinley, Dylan Lee, Robert Suarez, Racio Iglesias, they all lend a scoreless inning. And for the Philadelphia Phillies, Tim Meza gives up a run in an inning, but Chase Shogert, a pair of outs out of the bullpen squirrels. Kyle Backus, 4 outs out of the bullpen squirrels. Orion Kirkering was able to lend a squirrel setting along Seth Johnson, but for the Phillies, not a lot doing. They go 0 of 6 with men in scoring position, so the Braves, they continue their nice start. For the Braves, now 15-7, and for the Phillies, 8-13. And if you're taking a look at trend-wise, what we're getting in baseball right now, it has been quite an overwhelming season thus far, with favorites having a little bit of a shaky start to the season. For the favorites, sitting at just 54.1%, 173 and 147 on the money line. Among those 173 favorites that have won, 29 failed to cover the run line. Right now, the over rate is 53.3%, 169 overs to 148 unders, and over the last 7 days in Major League Baseball, over rate has been 53.8%, 50 overs, 43 unders, and I believe 1 push along the way. And favorites on the money line starting to restore some order, 53 and 40 on the money line. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now. That's where we're all getting trend-wise. Coming up next, how about if we do chat it up with one of our good friends, Colby Marchio, does great work over at Better Day, and he joins me next right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Craig Peterson, now a part of the VSiN Family Podcast.
Craving the coffee flavor you love, but without the caffeine? Kachava's got you covered with their newest coffee flavor. This all-in-one nutrition shake delivers bold, authentic flavor, crafted from premium decaffeinated Brazilian beans. With 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, and so much more. Treat yourself to the flavor and nutrition your body craves. Go to Kachava.com and use code FITNESS. New customers get 15% off their first order. That's KACHAVA.com, code FITNESS.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. It's always great to be joined by this man as we head out there to the great state of Illinois for Colby Marchio. He's just doing great work over at Better Day, taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. I know that he's doing a great job with his Substack day in and day out, taking a look at some great breakdowns for these teams as well. And then Batter-Box, he's doing a great job over on that front as well. So he's covering everything out there in this wonderful game. But baseball, here we'll follow him on the old Twitter/X at Colby M. Bets all together. And Colby, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Greg, I'm going to have to start paying you to have me on more often because I don't know what the juju is with us, but every time I'm on, you give me an abundance of good luck and just you manifest. I don't know if you're manifesting at home by yourself. Like I hope to see one of those videos. I hope to see him howl around with his dog, and I know his girlfriend hates it, but I really hope he's sleeping on the couch tonight with a smile on his face because, Greg, every time I'm here, it just brings joy to my life, and I appreciate it always. And whatever that juju is, I hope it continues on because I love nothing more than having fun and getting to talk to you about America's pastime.
Well, I can tell you from the Pickmas Tree, Choco Cat is a big fan of those videos, so it makes Choco Cat happy. It makes me happy. And if you want to repay me a few beers from the great state of Illinois would be great. That's all that I demand in return. So you're all good, my friend. And Colby, it has been a really great week for you. So let's talk about what has worked out for you, because when it comes to prop front in baseball, we both know this. It can be hot and cold. You have good streaks, you have bad streaks, but just what do you feel like led to your success this last week and why things were able to go so exceedingly well?
Yeah, I think I've had 4 home run bets cash in the last 5-ish days, something like that. I'm not trying to humble brag. I'm just trying to remember what I had. But I use batters-box.com as a big tool to start navigating my day-to-day. And the sample size can be 3-4 years, and it could be 20 at-bats. So it depends on what do I want to attack. I typically stay away from those 20 at-bats because those are just guys that just got called up, and there's a small sample size of them just hitting the crap out of the ball. A ton of hard contact early on, like a Jensen from the Royals or Reese Hines, who's typically never playing, but when he is, he's elite. Guys like that I stay away from. I've been staying away from the young bucks. I really am, and I just want to see if what's in front of us right now is legit. So right now, Yordan Alvarez is on fire. I want to trust guys that have proven themselves in the league for a very long time. Vladimir Guerrero, I think, feels like a 12-game hit streak. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know I am probably wrong, but it's an astronomically high streak over the last couple weeks so far. Yordan looks like the AL MVP. Baseball's awesome when he's back. So I'm kind of riding those hot streaks right now. Say if it was June, I would probably not want to be near that falling knife, not try to catch it, nor try to ride it. Just ride the hot guys right now. That's what I'm doing. If they've seen pitches well, I know it's still not a big sample size. I look into how they do against certain pitches because of who they're going up against as the starter. And if the price is good, like I got Vladimir Guerrero's bases at -105. That's a decent price. I typically don't like paying juice. It has to depend on the player. Corbin Carroll, I paid the juice yesterday, Saturday, hit a grand slam, pat on the back. I'm not bragging. I'm just stating the facts. And I don't think the only person I've gone back to a couple times has been Yordan. Other than that, I feel like I'm just not sprinkling around. I'm finding guys in a good spots. Murakami on Friday. This whole weekend, actually, you got to give the kid credit. He's hitting the crap out of the ball in Sacramento, and they're giving you good prices. I was able to use a boost out there and got his hit at plus money on Friday. Take any guy. I don't care who it is. Plus money for a hit is a great price. -130 is a great price for a guy to get a hit. Anything -160 or -170 is a good price in my opinion. Tonight I have Kyle Schwarber -130. It's Kyle Schwarber. I understand he's batting 210 or whatever. That's a great price. He's one of the premier hitters in baseball. He's never going to have the sexiest average. Minus 130 is a great price for him to get a hit. And I know it's tough to just be like, no good price. But if you look at stuff every single day, you're going to know what a good price is. Pete Alonso, typically one of the most disrespected hitters in baseball in terms of his basis prop pricing. You can get him at plus 135, 120 on a day-to-day basis. Who else had a bad price? Jonathan Aranda, I think, was plus 130. He's one of the more consistent hitters in baseball. It's just finding good pricing and knowing if it is or not. And if you have any questions, please, I'm always here to talk strategy with baseball. Is this a bad price? Is it a good price? On Colby M. Betts on Twitter. I'll talk to you till the end of time about baseball process. Loaded answer there, Greg. I apologize for the long-winded answer.
We love the long answers. That gives great detail. That allows people to know exactly what we're going to get. But hey, I appreciate it. I'm sure that the folks that are listening right here on the Baseball Betting Show do appreciate it from you, Mr. Colby. And Colby, I'm so glad that you were talking about Murakami of the White Sox, because that brings me to this. How much do you want to be taking a look at maybe a few more props out there in Sacramento? Because I've been highlighting this. The overs have been cashing like wildfire. All but one game in Sacramento has been going over. How much in your process do you feel like perhaps these guys in Sacramento are getting a little bit undervalued, both in terms of bases, home runs, what have you, because it just feels like it's a hit parade out there every single game in Sacramento?
Oh, I still wish the Rays were playing at Little Yankee Stadium. I'm glad we're still getting one of these fake stadiums to bet on. But it's the same thing as if teams were playing in Coors. If they were playing at a normal stadium, Coors would be the outlier. Everyone always talks about, well, they're in Coors. You could tell the pricing typically overcompensating for them being where they are. So finding good pricing there. Murakami, I got boosted to 525, I think, on Friday. That's a great price for a guy that hits the crap out of the ball, makes hard contact. Another good example would be Denver. I mentioned Denver. Shohei was 250 on Friday to hit a home run. I don't care what the matchup is. He's in Coors. It's Shohei Ohtani. That's a go. Certain guys are a go with the price. Ohtani, Judge, bases, even money, they're a go. Murakami, oh, God. I'm not trying to say he's bad. He has a ton of flaws. One of them that he doesn't have is he'll hit the crap out of a meatball. And I feel like every pitch he's hit the crap out of this weekend was a meatball. So I feel like he's benefiting from, as everyone will be when they go to Sacramento and play the Athletics rotation of their bullpen, whoever's out there. Luis Severino gives up so much to elite rated hitters on batters-box. So I'll try to get those stats out whenever Luis is out there. But you got to take advantage of, especially in a couple months when it's going to be 90 degrees and the wind's blowing out. We're going to feast, right?
Oh, we are going to feast, and I've been feasting on those overs thus far this season, so I'm glad you've been able to do so as well, and I'm so glad that you're highlighting the hot players or what have you, because I want to go to the opposite right now. The New York Mets have now lost 11 straight games, and it feels like it's been since the dawn of time since they've won a game. How do you proceed with, like, the Mets in general, both betting on, like, their team totals, betting on these players, what have you? Because, I mean, honestly, the pitching on Sunday was halfway decent for them. It looked like, hey, David Peterson, along with Tobias Myers, they put it together, and then nobody could hit for the New York Mets. How do you proceed with a team like this where nothing is going right for them at all?
If you don't pay attention, you just got to go to Frank the Tank's tweets to see that he's talking about them not having heart. And I saw one today. It's gold. Mid-season form by Frank. For, like, betting on these ice-cold teams, I don't want anything to do with them. I don't want to buy into them being bad. I don't want to fade them. I don't want to try to catch the falling knife of them bouncing back, et cetera, et cetera. I just stay away. Like, the Royals look terrible. The Mets look terrible. I just wait until they turn it around. The same thing with the Twins. The Twins have been extremely hot. A team you and I probably thought preseason, they're probably going to look like the Rockies. But here they are, power friendship, hot as the sun. I don't want to be anywhere near those teams. I want to be on teams that are consistently good and I could trust them. The Braves, that's a team I could trust. I mean, last year and the year before that, they weren't the sexiest, but they won the World Series a couple years ago, and this is still pretty much the same core team, minus Freddie Freeman. So that's a team you could trust. The Dodgers, even when they're on a bad streak, like they're just waiting to explode. They can turn it on whenever they want. The Yankees, my favorite team. You can throw your stones. It's okay. I get it. Dude, it's my favorite team, so I pick and choose when I please to bet on them. But that's another team I think you can trust if they're hot and if you think they're in a good spot to bounce back. But those mediocre teams, when they're on those hot streaks, they're fun to watch. Like when the White Sox are hot, they're awesome. any of the young teams. When the Rockies are hot, I think they're up 9 to the Dodgers. They won. Whatever the score is, I don't have it. I just saw the tweet before we got on. Stuff like that. I enjoy watching these mediocre teams stay hot. I don't want to be on them unless it's a really good matchup and their F5 is 1.5 and it's -110. I think I got the Rockies at that price once.
Absolutely. I think that is so well said by you. And I have to bring this up as well because you talk about being able to fade some of these bad pitchers, what have you. One thing I've noticed this year is there are 2 teams in particular that I think are just going to play a whole bunch of overs for the season. The Washington Nationals, because their offense has actually been quite good this year. And boy, do they not have any pitching whatsoever, aside from Sunday, of course. And the other team, the Houston Astros, you mentioned Yordan Alvarez. He's been hot as lava. Jose Altuve looks like the Jose Altuve that we all know and love. Christian Walker's got online. And this Astros bullpen and their entire pitching staff is, in one word, deplorable, to say the least. Have you been noticing that as well? And do you find yourself taking more props in games involving the Nationals and the Astros?
Oh, 100%. Whenever Jake Irving's out there, you take the other team.
Monday, baby.
He just throws meatballs. It's kind of shocking that we're talking about the Astros pitching being terrible. They're one of the most efficient arm developers in the league. They always would have a guy who they're like, oh, we're not going to be great. And then they just develop a guy. I mean, McCullers started the season hot. He typically has a very bad rating on batters-box.com. Check it out. Free plug. And I'm like, he's one of those guys where we've seen him be top 10, 15 pitcher in the league. And then we've seen him be, we got to fade him. He's on the bump. I'm trying to figure out where he is right now. I think his last start wasn't the sexiest, but he went 3 years without playing, and he's 30 plus years old. I mean, I don't imagine him being a future Cy Young candidate, but I imagine him being a serviceable pitcher moving forward. But yeah, without Payne, the team is a shell of itself, and it's just Yordan.
Yeah, I mean, man, Yordan Alvarez has been great. The rest of the team has not been, like, the lineup for the Astros. I feel like you could trust in them to be able to give you some good production. Oh, yeah. Like, Jose Altuve is still rock solid. Christian Walker's been better this year, but that pitching, holy crud, it has not been great, to say the least. And, Colby, it is a long season. There are some ups and downs, and we've seen a few teams get hot. We've seen a few teams start off cold, so I want to leave this one a little bit open-ended. Is there a team or two that you feel like is either going to cool down from their hot start, or do you think that there's a team that's right now cold and you think that you're going to be betting on them with regards to some team totals and some player props here moving forward?
I think the easy answer is the Twins. There's no way they're keeping this up, right? Nah. There's no way. There's no way Ray, Jeffers, and Wallner are going to take them to the playoffs. I'm waiting for the AL Central to beat the crap out of each other. I think every team that I really like and respect, I think the Braves are legit. I don't think they're a team where it's like, they're going to cool off eventually. That team is too solid, and their bottom half is steps up. Oh, Dom Smith. Well, we're not talking about Dom Smith enough. They just had him in the pregame highlight reel, and they mentioned him. I'm like, that dude steps up every time I tune into a Braves game. And what is he batting? 7th, 8th? Like, when are we talking about a 7-8 guy unless it's the Dodgers 9-hole spot?
Mauricio Dubon, anybody, too.
Yes. It feels like a top half of the order when those guys are humming. It's like, oh, well, you'll get him next thing. No, it's the bottom half of the Braves who are just on fire, which is great because I like the Braves. I'm not a Brave hater. I don't really hate any team in baseball, which just makes it even more fun. I think the Braves are legit, and I think the Twins are going to cool down soon.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I faded the Twins this weekend with the Reds, and we were on to a lot of
wins that's there. A team, Greg. Oh, my God. I can't stand that team. Oh, my God. I just contradicted myself saying I don't have any team. I can't stand that team. They're not good. And I know they're having their best record since blah, 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 blah. They leave too many guys on. They strike out too much, and they're the most inconsistent team. I want to be wrong about that because I've been waiting for the Reds to be good since I was born. I can't stand Eugenio Suarez. I like Elly De La Cruz, but I think he's a little overhyped. He strikes out a ton. He's not consistent. I mean, last year he went, all of July without a home run? I mean, I know it's last season. It's a new season, and hey, he looks a little bulky. No, he doesn't. He just looks toned. He's an athlete. He should look like that. I can't trust them. That's another one. I'm glad you mentioned them.
Yep, that's my job here. We need to be able to build you up here, Colby, because you're doing such a great job on your Twitter/X feed. The Substack has been amazing. You're over at Better Day and so much more. So let the good people at home know it's all on tap for you and how people are able to follow along on social media and other platforms.
Yeah, easiest way to find me is over on X/Twitter at Colby M. Betts. My Substack is colbymbetts.substack.com. Free, always free. If you see the $5 charge, that's just for tips. Nobody has to send anything. I'm doing it for free. I want to win as a unit. We're all doing it together. We're here to have fun. Podcast Off the Board over at Better Day. I do write up over there as well. Same with batters-box.com. Typically, I hyperlink all that to the Substack, so that's the hub. And if you need anything, shout me out on Twitter. I'll get back to you. Whatever you need.
Absolutely. Kobe, he's always a lot of fun whenever he's aboard. It's been a great run for him, so great to be able to get in the process, chat with him, and every single time he joins me, he always lends great insight. So big thanks to Kobe for joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming next, it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Colby Marchio. He does great work over at Better Day. I know that he's doing a great job with his Substack, Batters-Box, and so much more, and every single time he joins me, he lends such great insight, so big thanks to Kobe for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at gunit_81. We are going to be going in the Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first, then the American League games, any interleague games. Those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. Let's get things started. This is 9:51, 9:52 on the card. The Cardinals are going to be on the road against the Miami Marlins as it's Michael McGreevy going for the Cardinals and Max Meyer goes for Miami. Miami minus 126 to minus 132 favorites between plus 108 to plus 112. That number on St. Louis, 8 to 8.5 is the total. On the 8 overs, minus 120. The under is even. On the 8.5, unders minus 115 to minus 120. Overs between even and minus 105. Set a total of an 8.2. I like the 8 over rather than an 8.5 under personally because with Michael McGreevy, he's going to pitch you a lot of contact, and with Max Meyer, I just need to see a little bit more from him before I can trust him with an under like this. Like for Meyer last year, 473 ERA, 446 fielding dependent with allowing 1.7 home runs per 9 innings, and he throughout his career about 3.1 walks per 9 innings. He's allowing about 4.1 this season, though the strikeout numbers have been a little bit up, and he hasn't been giving up as many home runs, but do fear that he might knock himself out of the start early. And then for McGreevy, last year, just 5.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, 5 this year. He's got a 249 ERA, but a 423 fielding dependent, so that might be leading to a little bit of, shall we say, negative regression, and I do think that both of these teams going to be rock solid on offense when it's all said and done. For the Marlins, it's not about the deep ball. Augustin Ramirez had 20 home runs last season, and Kyle Stowers, I mean, man, guy gets hit by a pitch the first time he steps into the batter's box. Fortunately, he was able to stay in the game, and he's going to be able to help this team out moving forward. But they do a great job in terms of playing small ball. Owen Casey has been able to give you 10 plus RBI to begin the season. Liam Hicks, he is up to 19 RBI, 4 home runs. He's hitting above 300. Xavier Edwards, Otto Lopez, both hitting above a 330. These guys have been rock solid. And for the Cardinals, this is a bullpen that is very much leaking some oil. Don't love what I'm seeing out of Ryan Stanek. George Soriano being a long guy, that's a little bit of an issue. You've had issues with someone like a Justin Brule, but that said, the lineup has been great. You've got Jordan Walker, who's been able to give you 8 home runs, and it's hitting above a 300. Alec Burleson, over a 360 on base. Mason Wynn, after a rough start to the season, he's starting to pick it up. J.J. Weatherholt, a 380 on base. Nolan Gorman is an all-or-nothing hitter, but hey, he's able to give you some power as well, so I do think that you're going to be able to get some runs up on the board, but again, I do have some trepidations with that Cardinals bullpen, and for the Miami Marlins, I recognize that the bullpen hasn't been the world's greatest this year, but I like some of the pickups. John King, who ironically enough was a part of the Cardinals last year, sub 350 ERA. Pete Fairbanks, he's had a shaky start to the season. He's going to be able to pick it up in my opinion. Lake Bacar's a nice long guy. Anthony Bender and company. So with Marlins, did set them here at a minus 134, like them on the money line, and here with this total set mine at 8.2, like that 8 to the over. 9:53, 9:54 on the card. It's the Braves. They're going to be on the road against Washington Nationals. Looking like it should be Jake Irvin going here for Washington, and Bryce Elder hopes to not be elderly for the Braves, and with the Braves, they are finding themselves as a pretty good size favorite here. You're going to be getting them between minus 162 to a minus 172. Meanwhile, with the Washington Nationals, between plus 135 to a plus 145 is that number there. Totals between 8 to 8.5. On the 8, the over is between minus 110 to a minus 115, and the under is between minus 105 to a minus 110. On the 8.5, under is minus 115 to minus 120, and the over is between even and minus 105. And If you're looking at laying a run half right now with the Braves, you're going to be finding that at small plus money, about plus 105, even money. And I am going to be willing to lay the run line here of the Atlanta Braves. I set their money line price at a minus 174. I'd be willing to go up to a minus 108 there. As when it comes to Bryce Elder, I do think that he's probably due for a little bit of regression here. Last year, he had north of a 5 ERA. He has looked significantly better thus far this season. Still not necessarily some sort of a strikeout artist or something like that. Last year, 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. The small sample size, 8.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. Think that might be doing for some regression. 0.77 ERA after I've been a 5.30 last year. Do think that that's going to be coming downward, but I also do think that he's very much improved from the season ago. Don't really think that Jake Irvin is going to be too improved from a season ago. As for our good friend and Mr. Jake Irvin, last season he was posting up a 5.70 ERA with 1.9 home runs allowed per 9 innings. This year, 6.16 ERA, down to 1.4 home runs per 9 innings, but 5.2 walks per 9 innings, and he's backed up by a Washington Nationals bullpen that last year was dead sinking last in terms of bullpen ERA. This year, they've been a little bit better than dead stinking last, but Perez is not a guy that you could trust in. Clayton Beater. They've got Brad Lord, who's a relatively good long guy, but you're only able to utilize him once every few days as well. And for the Atlanta Braves, they entered into Sunday Night Baseball number 2 in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. Tyler Kinley, since coming over from the Rockies, has been able to supply a sub-3 ERA. Raisel Iglesias is starting to look like the closer that we all know and love. Robert Suarez was a nice pickup. So, all in all, I like what I'm seeing there. Even some of the more ancillary guys. Aaron Bummer has been able to step up. Dylan Lee has been solid. And for the Atlanta Braves right now, averaging over 5.6 runs per game. As a matter of fact, both teams entered into Sunday averaging 5.62 runs per game. And for the Braves, I think that's a mainstay. That's about what they were averaging in 2023 when they were fully healthy. You've had Ronald Acuna Jr. get off to a little bit of a slow start, but now he's starting to pick it up. Mike Yastrzemski has given you nothing whatsoever, so if he gives you anything, that's going to be an added bonus. Austin Riley was dealing with injury. Now he's been able to get back into form here in the last few days. Drake Baldwin, 5+ home runs, hitting above 300. Matt Olson, 5 home runs, hitting darn near 300. Ozzie Albies has been solid. Mauricio Dubon is moving the line. And then on the other side of things, you've got a Washington Nationals team that I don't know if they're going to quite be averaging over 5.5 runs per game when it's all said and done, but it's very clear. James Wood, who gave you 30 home runs last season, he's really forming himself in this league. You've got a guy in CJ Abrams who's been able to do a nice job with over a 400 on base. He's been able to give you some good power. And then some of the ancillary guys like a Brady House, Dallin Lyle, their move line, Joey Weimer has been able to give you over a 400 on base. Just an issue of the pitching in general for the Washington Nationals. So with the Braves, I'm going to be willing to lay the run line. I'd be willing to go up to a minus 108. So any sort of plus money like that run line. And I like the over. Somebody told 9.2, 955, 956 on the card. It's the Phillies. They're going to be on the road against the Cubs. Colin Reyes has hit Pepper to another start. And then Aaron Nola hopes to be super for the Phils. Right now, this total is an 8. The over is minus 115 and the under is minus 105. Phillies are minus 115 to minus 116 favorites, right around about even money to minus 105 is that number on the Cubs. And I set the Cubs at a minus 130 on the money line. I'm going to be willing to roll with that. Now, if you're looking at the win situation, it should be blowing in a bit, especially towards the back half of the game. So I think that this 8 is a little bit puzzling. I set my total at a 9.2 because I did factor in the wind, and it's not like Aaron Nola has been great. He had a 6 ERA last season, giving up about 1.7 home runs per 9 innings. He's been a little bit better here to begin the season, but I'm not fully bought in on him right now. In the ERA, a little bit north of 4, 1.2 home runs allowed per 9 innings, so a little bit more respectable than last season. But Colin Ray, he's a pitch contact guy himself, only about 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. Nola, obviously, a much better strikeout pitcher. But for Ray last year, 1.1 home runs, 2.5 walks per 9 innings. 4 appearances here this year. 3.63 ERA, 1 home run, 2.5 walks allowed per 9 innings. Now, it is a Phillies lineup that has been averaging 3.2 runs per game away from home, dead last right now in the National League. I think that that's going to be going northward. This is a very hot and cold Phillies lineup, and Bryce Harper, after a rough first week and a half of the season, he's been able to look like the Bryce Harper that we all know and love. And Kyle Schwarber, he's providing power with about a 360 on base going into Sunday Night Baseball. Not aiming for average, but he's providing power. Adolis Garcia continues to not be able to move a line. That's not a shock. But you've got Trey Turner, who's been able to hit about a 260. Brandon Marsh has been able to find a way on. You just need more out of the likes of Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm. A lot of the infielders have very much been struggling for the team. And additionally, for the Phillies, you have to downgrade this bullpen because right now, Yohan Duran is currently on the injured list with with Jose Alvarado. He has not been the same guy that he was prior to the drug suspension last year. Orion Kerkering coming off the injured list, that helps him out, and Tanner Banks is relatively okay, but Brad Keller, after a career year last year with the Cubs, looks like he's doing for a little bit of regression. And speaking of the Cubs, they're all sorts of banged up in terms of their bullpen as well. Ethan Roberts, Phil Matone, Daniel Palencia, Hunter Harvey. You just go down the list of injuries, like, man, Porter Hodge, he's out as well. So you're relying upon Jacob Webb, Caleb Theobar, not a place where you want to be. Got a good start yesterday, but they did have to go to extra innings, so it's a little bit of a taxed bullpen, but even with that, I do think that this Cubs lineup starting to pick it up a little bit. Ian Happ has been anything but hapless. 6 home runs this far this season. You've got Dansby Swanson, who's been able to give you 4 bombs, no average whatsoever. And Michael Busch, he has been a shell of what he was a season ago, but Nico Horner is hitting above a 300. The entire catcher's spot, Moises Paez, Steros, Carson Kelly, Miguel Amaya, all these guys are doing a great job at the plate. Pico Armstrong has been useless at the plate this far this season, and Alex Bregman is perennially a little bit of a slow starter, but I do think that they get to Nola here, and I do think that the Cubs should be the favorites. Up by total 9.2. Like the over, and with the Cubs, I'm going to be willing to take them on the money line, set them at a minus 130. 957, 958 on the card. The Dodgers are on the road against the Rockies as Jose Quintana is on the bum for the Rockies, and Justin Robelski goes for the Dodgers. The Dodgers are between minus 250 to minus 270 favorites, and between plus 210 to a plus 215. That number on the Rockies, 11 to 11.5 is the total. On the 11.5, under is minus 115 to minus 125. Over is plus 105 to minus 105. On the 11, the over is minus 115. The under is minus 105. If you're looking to lay around half with the Dodgers, I'm seeing minus 165-ish out there. If you're looking to lay 2.5 runs, you're going to be able to find that much cheaper, right around about minus 110 to a minus 115. I'm going to lay minus 2 runs here. I set my 1.5 run line price at a minus 173. I'm going to save the juice because I do think that the Dodgers, after losing a pair here to the Rockies, I think that they really do pick it up. You've got a guy in Robelski who last season he didn't have the world's greatest ERA. It was hovering right around about a 4.32, but 2.93 fielding independent, 2.3 strikeouts per 9 innings, less than a home run allowed per 9. Now that was mostly out of the bullpen, but I think that he can give a relatively good start here. And Jose Quintana, I think that this guy's going to get destroyed. Last year with the Brewers, 3.96 ERA, 41 fielding independent, 6.1 strikeouts, 3.4 walks per 9 innings. And this season with the Rockies, 8 walks in 8 innings, 5.63 ERA, fielding independent of a 7, and he's backed up by a Rockies lineup that they look a little bit more reborn. TJ Romfield, Troy Johnson, these guys have been able to step up in a nice way. Mickey Moniak gets 5+ home runs to begin the season. Hunter Goodman was solid for them last year. He's continuing those ways thus far this season, so I very much do like what I'm seeing out of these guys. And the LA Dodgers, they entered into yesterday averaging 7.75 runs per game away from home. You've got a Dodgers lineup that is the best that money can buy. Andy Paz, 382 average. He's got 4+ home runs to begin the season. Will Smith is giving you over 370 on base. Shohei Ohtani, nearly a 400 on base. You just go down the list. Dalton Rushing is hitting a home run like every 5 at-bats right now. Hai-Sung Kim is hitting above a 300. And for the LA Dodgers, they did use up Edwin Diaz yesterday, so they've been using quite a few bullpen pitchers, and they really burned through that bullpen yesterday. But Jack Dreher, Alex Vesia, 10 or fewer pitches yesterday, and both of these guys last year had a sub-325 ERA. And for the Rockies, it's actually a relatively solid bullpen. You've got the likes of Juan Mejia, Victor Vodnik, Jimmy Herget, well, at a sub-450 ERA, which doesn't sound like much, but out there at Coors, it's actually been solid. Antonio Senzatella came in yesterday. It's actually been really good out of the bullpen. Problem is, I just think that Jose Quintana gets absolutely destroyed, so one to lay 2.5 runs here with the Dodgers, set by total 11.7, so to go along with that run line, I'm in on the over. 959, 960 on the card. The Tigers are on the road against the Boston Red Sox. Sonny Gray hopes to have a sunny day here for Boston, and Captain Jack Flaherty's on the bump for Detroit. The total on this game is 8. The over is minus 115, under is minus 105, plus 110 to a plus 115. That number on the Tigers, minus 130 to minus 136 is that number on Boston. And I'm willing to take the Tigers here on the money line. Set them at a plus 106. It's just been very lackluster what we've seen out of this Red Sox lineup right now. Like, they entered into Sunday in the bottom 10 in terms of run creation. This despite the fact that Weiler Abreu has been able to do a nice job this far this season, hitting above a 300, and he's been able to supply 3 home runs. Will Contreras continues to give you over a 400 base. He's up to 4 home runs. Ceddanne Rafaela has been able to move line. Like, it's not a team that's doing a terrible job in terms of reaching base. Roman Anthony down to a 333 on base. You need a little bit more there, but I mean, you've had some disappointments like Trevor Story, Caleb Durbin, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa hitting below the Bedell's line 200. And for the Tigers, they're right around about league average right now in terms of their run creation, despite the fact that Dylan Dingler has been able to give you about a 370 on base. You've had Wencio Perez be absolutely awful for the team, and then Spencer Torkelson along with Riley Green. These were 2 main mashers for you last season. Both guys have 2 home runs or fewer this far this season, but Javi Baez is moving the line. I do think that there's better days days coming for them. And for Captain Jack Flaherty, he's always been a nice strikeout pitcher. Last season, he had a relatively high ERA at a 4.64, but closer to 3.85 fielding dependent. He was getting over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings this year, giving up just a half home run per 9 innings. And for Sonny Gray, he closed out 2025 horribly. 5.45 ERA after the All-Star break with 1.9 home runs per 9 innings. That's lingered into this season. 4.43 ERA, 4.70 fielding dependent, 4.9 strikeouts, 1.3 home runs allowed per 9 innings. I do think that the Tigers bullpen is going to start to find it a little bit. You've got so many guys like Abolves, Brant Herter, who were able to spy sub 350 ERA last season. They've got some nice mix and match guys like Kyle Finnegan, who they picked up at the trade deadline last season, sub 3 ERA. Now, the fact that they've got Kenley Jansen as their closer is just absolutely terrible. And on the flip side for the Red Sox, they were number 2 in terms of bullpen ERA last season. And bullpen overall has been relatively solid, but when Garrett Crochet is not giving you the starts that you're looking for, that expends a bullpen. You've had the likes of Greg Weiser, Danny Kalum, Garrett Woodlock over the last year plus provide a sub 325 ERA. Aroldis Chapman has been the best closer in all of baseball, but I just don't think that you get a great start here from Sonny Gray. Did set my total at some point 8, so here at the 8, I do like the under, especially with this being a very early game. This is the Boston Marathon Day, I forget what it is, President's Day or something like that, but I know that it's a special day out there in Boston. But and said with it being a little bit earlier, I'm going to be in on the under, so I told 7.8, and with the Tigers plus 107 or better, looking at the money line. 961, 962 on the card. It's the Astros. They're going to be on the road against the Guardians, as you've got Slade Sassoni on the bump for the Guardians. It looks like it should be Spencer Arrighetti going for the Astros. That is yet to be confirmed, but a few books have posted numbers with the Guardians at a minus 130, plus 110 on the Houston Astros. Total is 8.5, over and under, both at minus 110, and I'm going to be willing to lay with the Guardians, set them at a minus 147. And for Arrighetti, actually had a relatively nice first start of the season, gives up 1 run over the course of 6 innings, but he did give up 4 walks, and he's always had a little bit of an issue in terms of command. Last season, he had an ERA that was a 5.35, 5.54 fielding dependent, 1.5 home runs, 5.1 walks allowed per 9 innings, so I feel like that might be a little bit of a flash in the pan here. And for the Cleveland Guardians, back in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of run creation, but had a nice little bit of an explosion yesterday for the Guardians. Chase Salauter had 5 home runs very early on during the season. He has faded a little bit here recently, but as he has Jose Ramirez starting to find it once again. He's up to 6 bombs. Now, you've got the likes of a Bo Naylor, obviously, Juan Burrito, throwing there Brian Rocchio. These guys that since the beginning of 2025 have all hit a 225 or lower, though Rocchio has actually looked a little bit better thus far this season. So has Daniel Sheeman. I think that might be a little bit of a flash in the pan. Stephen Kwan has been a little bit tough at the leadoff spot. I think that he's going to pick it up a little bit. And for the Guardians, they've been about a league average bullpen in terms of ERA. You know that this is going to improve. Cade Smith has been a little bit shaky to begin the season. They just got Hunter Gaddis off the injured list. Eric Sabrowski always gives you a sub 350 ERA. Sean Armstrong has been a little bit shaky. Think that he's going to be able to find it as well. And then on the flip side for the Astros, currently 29th out of 30 teams in terms of bullpen ERA. Brian Abreu has just went straight down the toilet bowl as far this season. AJ Blueball, well, he's been given a ERA above a 7 right now. They're dealing with the injury to Josh Hader. Stephen Okert has been dealing with injury. So, it's just all sorts of awful. And Okert was able to return yesterday, so that's looking a little bit better. But Bennett Sosa's currently on the injury list as well. It's been all sorts of awful there. Good news for the Astros is they are averaging well over 5 runs per game, and Yordan Alvarez, 10 home runs with a 471 on base. Jose Altuve is giving you a 400 on base. Christian Walker, he's faded a little bit here over the last week, but still 350 on base, 4 home runs. That's more of what they were paying for. You've had these guys, even like a Cam Smith towards the bottom of the lineup, be able to move line for you. So the Astros lineup has been just fine, and Slade Sassoni is not necessarily off to the world's greatest start to the season. For Sassoni last year, he was giving up about 1.4, 1.5 home runs per 9 innings. Back there this year, 5.03 ERA, 527 fielding dependent, 1.4 home runs, 4.6 walks allowed per 9 innings, but the lack of pitching for the Astros, I think, dooms them. So somebody told it 8.7. I like the over, and for the Guardians, willing to go up to a minus 146 on that money line. 963, 964 on the card. The Orioles are going to be on the road against the Royals, as Seth Lugo goes for the Royals, and Kyle Bradish is on the bump for Baltimore. Baltimore is a between minus 108 to minus 120 slim favorite. Between even money and minus 108 is a number on the Royals. 8.5 is the total, over is minus 120, and the under is even. I'm in on the under. I set my total at 8.3. I know that they moved the fences in over there at Camden Yards, but man, this Royals team just really is not hitting right now. And for the Baltimore Orioles, they've had all sorts of difficulties in terms of hitting away from home as well. For the Orioles, they're right now averaging about 3.2 runs per game away from home. That is a bottom 5 mark in all of baseball. And for the Royals, 3.4 runs per game entering into Sunday. That is third worst in all of baseball. So, yeah, that's not necessarily great to say the least. For Seth Lugo, 1.7 home runs, 3.4 walks per 9 innings last season. Last season, he was supplying an ERA that was relatively respectable, right around about 4.15, 5.09 fielding dependent. He's looked much better this year. He's yet to give up a home run in 4 starts, but he's a guy that pitches quite a bit of contact. For Kyle Bradish, he's a little bit more of a strikeout artist. Last season, in a very, very small sample size, 13.2 strikeouts per 9 innings, more like 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings this year. I think that's a little bit more of what you can expect out of him. 5.49 ERA, 3.17 fielding dependent, should be doing for some positivity. And then Yunier Cano, Rico Garcia, these are guys that can give you a sub-350 ERA in the bullpen. You've been able to have Ryan Helsley look a little bit more like the guy that we all know and love, but for the Orioles, you've had a lot of these young guys not be able to step up. Samuel Basayo continues to sit below the middle line of 200. Pia Alonso, he's had either 2 or 3 home runs. He's hitting below a 215. You need a little bit more there. Gunnar Henderson has hit for a lot of power with 7 home runs, but he's sitting for no average whatsoever. Taylor Ward, meanwhile, he had a lot of power, not a lot of average last year with the Angels. 388 on base. Finally got his first home run on Sunday, and you do have Jeremiah Jackson, who's hitting at 300. He's had like 5 home runs over the last 2 weeks. He's been rock solid, but hit or miss with the likes of Kobe Mayo and company. And then on the flip side for the Royals, Carter Jensen, ever since the oversleep situation, has actually been amazing for the team. He's actually hit like 4 home runs ever since then, so that's been great. But Salvador Perez at 202 on base. Vinny Pasquantino hitting a $157. Both of these guys, 2 home runs or fewer. That's a big issue. Starling Marte, he looks completely washed at this point. Michael Massey, Isaiah Collins, both of these guys have had a little bit of issue as well, so you're really not getting a lot of bang for your buck. There's absolutely nobody whatsoever to be able to drive Bobby Witt Jr. in, so I do think that for the Royals, they're going to be in a little bit of a lower scoring game, but I do also trust in this bullpen of the Kansas City Royals. Even with Carlos Aceves currently being on the injured list, you've got Lucas Hursadge, who's a nice, good reliever. John Schreiber last year at sub-4 ERA. Nick Mears was all with the Brewers. He's been a little bit shaky this year, but Daniel Lynch can give you some long relief. Love the pickup of Matt Strahm. So in a little bit of a lower scoring game, set the Royals as a very slim minus 102 favorite. I'm willing to trust in them at like even money or better on the money line, and with the total maybe an 8.3, so like that 8.5 to the under. 965, 966 as the Angels are going to be playing us to the Blue Jays. Dylan Cease is on the bump for the Jays, and Reed Detmers is on the bump for the Angels. Angels do find themselves as an underdog here. You're going to be getting them between even money to plus 105. Meanwhile, minus 120 to minus 130 is that number on Toronto. 7.5 is the total. Over is minus 120. The under is even. And for the Blue Jays, I did set them as a favorite here on the money line at a minus 121. So I'm going to be willing to go up to a minus 120 here. For Reed Detmers, he had his start pushed back, so I do have to have a little bit of question mark as to what you're going to be able to get in this game out of him. But all in all, Reed Detmers has been very solid with regards to the strikeout stuff. Last year, he was getting over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings, albeit he was pitching out of the bullpen. And throughout his career, he does have a ERA that's more than a full half a point higher when he is a starter rather than when he is coming out of the bullpen. But that's at 3.57 ERA, 2.46 fielding dependent, 10.3 strikeouts per 9 innings, giving up just 2.4 walks per 9 innings. So it does feel like he's starting to find it. Again, do have to have a little bit of question mark with him getting pushed back a day, and these pitchers are creatures of habit. Meanwhile, for Dylan Cease, he has been great thus far with the Toronto Blue Jays. A 1.74 ERA, 1.91 fielding dependent. Walks are always an issue for him, 5.2 walks per 9 innings, but 13.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. It's not allowed a home run thus far this season, and you saw the Blue Jays finally get some runs up on the board yesterday. They got to Ryan Nelson to put up 8 runs on him with getting just 1 out, so that was pretty magical to say the least. And for the Blue Jays, they are going to be doing, don't call his name, Alejandro Kirk being on the injured list, but I mean, in a very small sample size, Miles Straw has been hitting above a 300. Eloy Jimenez, you remember that dude? He's still only like 29 years old, which is hard to think. He's actually been able to give this team a little bit of life. Vlad Guerrero Jr. continues in for no power, only 1 home run thus far this season, but over a 400 base. Ernie Clement has been able to move line. You're dealing with the injury to George Springer, so it is a bit of a banged up bunch, but good news for them is that they finally were able to have their Japanese import, Kazuma Okamoto, be able to have a nice game yesterday, so perhaps that gets them going. For the Blue Jays, this is a rather, shall we say, untrustworthy bullpen. You've had a lot of these guys come up little, like Brandon Little has been absolutely terrible for the team. Mason Flaherty has over a 5 ERA. Braden Fisher was solid last year, and thus far this season, he's been able to do a nice job. I like Louis Varland, so I do think that Cease is going to be able to go out there, give you a relatively nice performance. And then for the Angels, I do think that there might be a little bit of regression with this start, but still, they've looked much more respectable this year, especially in the bullpen. Like, the bullpen in past years has been absolutely terrible for the team. They did have to burn up Sam Bachman yesterday, but you've been able to have Drew Pomeranz, Brent Suter as veterans come in after they had a sub-350 ERA in their respective spots. Suter maybe a little bit higher than that last season, but both of these guys are able to hold down the fort. Ryan Zephyrion is not necessarily amazing. They're still dealing with the injury to Kirby Yates, but certainly much better than it has has been in the past. Yamaka, Josh Lowe, these have not been great ads for the team, but you've had Adam Frazier hit a 300. They're hitting for more average this year. They get Orioles off of that suspension, and he's been rock solid. He's been able to give the team 5 home runs. Mike Trout, he's had 4 home runs over the last 7 games. Zach Neto has been able to give you 5+ bombs. He's providing about a 360 on base, so it's a very interesting circumstance. I do just trust in Dylan Cease to be able to go out there shut it down, though. So with the Blue Jays, did set them at a -121, like them on the money line. Did set my total here to 7.7. I do think that the 7.5 just a scotch too low, so I'm going to be looking at that 7.5 to the over to go along with the Blue Jays money line. 967, 968 on the card. The Athletics are going to be on the road against the Seattle Mariners. Emerson Hancock is on the bump for Seattle, and JT Ginn Juice is on the bump for the Athletics. The Athletics do find themselves between +135 to +140 underdogs, and between -150 to -165. Then number 4, Seattle. 8 is the total. The over is -115. The under is -105. And for Seattle, I set them at a -173 on the money line. If you're looking to lay a run half, right now you're finding that at about +135 or so, and I'm going to be willing to take a shot there. I was willing to take anything above a +122 to the run line. And for JT Ginn, he's been able to give you some relatively, shall we say, presentable innings thus far. I think that there's going to be a little bit of regression here, though. For JT Ginn, he's always been a relatively good strikeout artist, but at the same time, what has really doomed him throughout his career has been location. Last season for JT Ginn, he was posting up an ERA that was more in that neighborhood about a 5.08 because he was giving up 3 walks and 1.7 home runs per 9 innings, 3.9 walks per 9 innings once again this season. And for Hancock, he has actually really put it together this far this season. Recognize that the last start or two we've seen a little bit of regression, but still 2.28 ERA, 2.74 fielding dependent, up to 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings after he had 6.4 strikeouts or fewer per 9 innings each of the previous 2 seasons. So it feels like he's really been able to find something. The command has been relatively good. Now for the Mariners, you've had Andres Munoz not necessarily look like the same guy this far this season, but when he's fully going, he, along with Matt Brash, one of the most nasty 8th and 9th inning duos in all of baseball. Edward Bizardo last year, a sub-3 ERA. Gabe Spire is very solid. That bullpen, and for the Mariners, it looks like this offense is starting to pick it up. They've been on the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of run scoring thus far this season, and Julio Rodriguez just always gets off to a rough start to the season, but Randy Arozarena giving you a 400 base. J.P. Crawford not hitting for average, but he is now giving you a 375 on base. Rob Refsnyder has been absolutely miserable for this team, so they're going to need him to pick it up. But how about Luke Raley hitting at 300 for 5 home runs? Big dumper Cal Raleigh, he's only had 250 on base, hitting below the middle side of 200. You need him to be able to pick it up, but I do think that that's going to be happening sooner rather than later. And then for the Athletics, this has just not been the same offense away from home rather than at home. Sacramento just really hikes up offense. Right now for Sacramento, they're averaging over 5.2 runs per game at home, 3.33 runs per game away from home, and have a guy in Brent Rooker that's currently on the injured list. That's a little bit of an issue. You were expecting a bit more out of Lawrence Butler. He's been a bit of a disappointment this season. Jacob Wilson continues to draw no walks whatsoever, but he's starting to pick it up a little bit. Shea Langoliers, well, Shea is banged for 6 home runs, so he's been solid, but really nobody else has given you more than like 2 or 3 home runs. Tyler Soderstrom, 2 bombs, hitting about a 200. Zach Aloff, they just recently got him back, so we'll see what he's able to provide. And this is an Athletics bullpen that I think it's fair to say they're not necessarily the most trustworthy in the world. You got a bunch of guys like Hogan Harris, Justin Sterner, that a season ago were providing about a 4 ERA. Mark Leiter Jr. and Scott Barlow just looked washed at this point. Honestly, Joe Kuhnel has been able to give you some relatively good innings, and when he was with the Tampa Bay Rays a few seasons ago, he was always a relatively okay reliever. When he was with the Reds in 2022, he was not great, to say the least, but feels like he's been able to find himself a little bit more. But still, I do think that for the Seattle Mariners, they do a nice job in terms of getting to get in, and I think that Hancock's, shall we say, renaissance is real. Semi-total 7.8, so like the 8 under, and for the Mariners, plus 123 or better. Looking at that run line and wrap things up with 969, 970 on the card. The Reds are going to be on the road against the Rays. We do know that Rhett Lauder is going to be on the bump for Cincinnati. Right now, it's to be determined on the bump for the Rays. This game is off the board. This is a spot where Jesse Schultz has been serving as a bulk guy. We don't know who the opener is going to be. It should be Schultz in some form or capacity, though. And if you do get Schultz in a opener role, in a bulk role, what have you, I did set the Rays here at a -126, so one way up to -125 on that money line, plus 127 or better, looking at the Reds, and then I set a total of 7.9, 7.5 or less, like the over, and 8 or higher to the under. The Reds offense was able to get a little bit more online in that series against the Minnesota Twins. They still have been achieving this winning record with averaging about 3.4 runs per game, which I don't know how long this is going to last. Now, they do go up against a Rays bullpen that has been deplorable. They're right now in the bottom 5 of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. Griffin Jackson has been getting all sorts of jacked up. Now, they did a relatively better job against the Pittsburgh Pirates over the weekend, but still, you've got Ian Seymour posting up over an 80 ERA. That guy does not belong in the bullpen. They burnt him up yesterday, so you don't have to worry about him. But so you've got Garrett Clevenger, Evan Uceta on the injured list. I do like what you're able to get out of Hunter Biggie. Do think that Kevin Kelly is right now supplying about a 5 ERA. That's going to be coming down a little bit. But for the Rays, I think that this is actually the real deal on offense. Junior Caminero last year, he was able to supply 44 home runs. He's been able to hit 3+ bombs here over the last 7 days. Chandler Simpson is hitting above 300. He's one of the best base stealers in all baseball. Taylor Walls is now hitting above 275. Jonathan Aranda last year hit above a 300, but a little bit down from that. But Nick Fortes is hitting above 300. So you got a lot of guys picking it up. And if you get anything whatsoever out of Cedric Mullins, who the last few seasons has been just a big giant flop after he had an amazing season many years ago with the Orioles, then you're really cooking with some gas. And then on the flip side, for the Reds, I think that their offense is going to be improving. And I feel like we did see that in that series against the Minnesota Twins. You've got a guy in Cousin Sal Stewart who's been able to do a really nice job, give you 5+ home runs, over a 380 on base. It's just all about the ancillary guys like Matt McClain, TJ Friedel, Will Benson, Reese Hines, everything below the Mendoza 200. Brian Hayes, he's giving you a 125 on base. I think that I last got a hit in the big leagues when he did. Like, holy crud, that has been bad. But that said, you still have Ellie De La Cruz, 5+ home runs, one of the best base heroes in all baseball, and Eugenio Suarez is actually giving you some on base. Last year he had 49 home runs. And for the Reds, they entered into Sunday with a bullpen ERA that's about a half a point better than the rest of the league. Now, they did have to go to extra innings yesterday, so they did burn up some of these guys, and I still don't trust in Emilio Pagan, but Tony Santillan, Graham Ashcraft, sub-3 ERAs to begin the season. Pierce Johnson, Brock and Roll Burke, they picked them up in the offseason. Both guys with their respective teams had a sub-350 ERA last season. They've used up quite a bit of Kyle Nicholas, but he was one of your lesser guys, so that means that you're going to have more prime guys in this game. But with Rhett Lauder, I do think that he's doing for a little bit of regression here, because you look at his small sample size. He pitched a bit in 2024. He missed all of 2025, so he's made 10 career starts. He's got a 2.18 ERA, but closer to a 3.18 fielding dependent. He keeps the ball in the yard. 0.2 home runs allowed per 9 innings. Pitches to a lot of contact, though. 6.2 strikeouts to 3.5 walks per 9 innings. I think that that's going to nip him in the bud here a little bit. And if you do indeed get Jesse Schultz as a little bit of a bulk guy / the actual starter, he was rough with the White Sox many, many years ago. He was posting up north of a 5 ERA for them. Feels like the Rays have just rejuvenated him. I recognize it's only 2 appearances and 9 2/3 innings, but has yet to give up a run. He's been able to do a better job with the command. When he was with the White Sox many years ago, over 3 walks per 9 innings, he was giving up 1.6 home runs per 9. The swing and miss stuff is actually up just a little bit from there as well. So minus 125 or better looking at the Rays, plus 127 or better the Reds, and then 7.5 or less, like the over 8 or higher the under. Set that total is 7.9, and that'll wrap things up for the Monday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Big thanks to our guy, Colby Marchio. He does great work over at Better Day. He joined me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have 1 or 2 ways to be able to throw those in. First one is my Twitter /X timeline at @GUDET_81. And keep in mind, letters CM, they mean does not matter. So as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is via an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review, coming at you guys every single day with picks and analysis on every game, every day. So I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.